Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Taurus February 2023 weekly illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So, hi, everyone, and welcome. This reading is going to be taking a look at the energy for the week ahead, or more specifically, about 7 days from when you watch this. Now, I do want to preface this with it is a general reading, so please only take what resonates. Additionally, what I've noticed too, even for myself, is that sometimes readings will bring up something from the past that maybe you aren't experiencing exactly in the moment what is coming through in the reading, but yet in looking back at something from the past, there may be a lesson that needs to be integrated now, or just something of a reminder of what happened in the past that needs to be pulled forward in this present moment. So keep that in mind too. All right. So Taurus, we are going to be pulling some cards here for what you're bringing to the week, what's going on around you in your environment. And then we're going to be looking at a block, a challenge, and then a potential opportunity that is coming in for you. So you are coming in with the King of Wands energy. I like that. Fiery and passionate. This is, I get a sense many of you are kind of reviewing in your own respect what you would like to put your passion towards. The King of Wands is an individual harnesses the energy of responsibly integrating what you're passionate about into your everyday experience, taking action from that place on a continual basis. It can also speak to that kind of fiery, passionate CEO or business owner, or somebody who really comes in and again knows how to lead from that place of their own passion. Now, in your external environment, we have the Hierophant, which is your card in the tarot and the major arcana, Taurus. We have the Four of Cups and then the Tower. Very interesting. The Hierophant speaks to what we believe, also what we choose to follow, the rules, the systems, the regulations that we put on ourselves. And I think for many of you, there may be something in your experience that is kind of hindering you from, and it could be a belief system. This could be where you feel you have to do certain things. You can't, and I think for many of you, because you're sitting in this very passionate place of seeing where can I lead with my passion? Where can I get to that point of kind of a kingly perspective of this is what I do, this is what this is how I can lead. And maybe even for some of you reviewing if you want to have a business built from a place of passion, how can I be seen as someone who maybe is an expert in what I'm passionate about. And there's something here with the Hierophant and the external environment that this could be where you realize you've been limiting yourself. You've been following a set of beliefs. You've been maybe doing something that you've always done because you were told again that this is how it should be done. And yet it's led to a certain level of disconnect, an emotional disconnect where you're not happy. You're looking at these 3 cups, which could represent actually, friendships, community in your experience that just aren't fulfilling. But this can also just be looking at everything in our experience from an emotional perspective and saying, that doesn't fulfill me, that doesn't fulfill me, that doesn't fulfill me. And yet here is Spirit with its little Monty Python hand coming through saying, wait, it's not about the things outside of yourself fulfilling you. It's about you forgot your cup. You forgot your emotional connection that comes directly from within you. And maybe for some of you, the Hierophant can also speak to, any type of, larger contracts that involve kind of, the government or some part of our cultural or religious structures. So this could sometimes represent a marriage. There may be something here in a relationship where it's just not, something isn't working out, or it could even be because this is in your environment that somebody in your experience is expressing this to you. But with the Tower coming in, there's going to be a kind of a big shakeup here. This is that realization of where we've been sitting in a comfort zone for too long. or maybe we've been sitting in a place of discontent for so long, and Spirit's been trying to hand us the cup, trying to say, hey, look, this is what you need. Now you need to go pursue and meet your needs. But I think for many of you, what's coming in here is there's a level of it's time to get past this point of this isn't good enough. This isn't what I want. And Spirit's going to come in and kind of take that tower down, take down the security you've kind of been long attached to. And so that you can reconnect to yourself on a spiritual level. That's what I see as the Ace of Cups. That's reconnecting to the spiritual part of our experience. And through that, ultimately love. Now, in your kind of looking from the past to the present moment, we have the Nine of Cups in your recent past, we have Judgment, and then we have the Four of Swords. Now, the Nine of Cups speaks to physical abundance. It speaks to a certain level of financial independence. You get a chance to stop and smell the roses and really take advantage of all that hard work that you've done to get to this place of security and stability. But with Judgment coming in, you've changed. Judgment is when we are literally called up as a new version of ourselves. And it does imply that we had to go through a death of sorts, not literally death, but a death of sorts, and probably most likely an ego death, for us to then be able to be dead, to be risen again as something new. So this may have been that in the past, maybe you had achieved a certain level of security and independence, and maybe that was removed because in having that removed, you became a different version of yourself. Or maybe you achieved a certain level, again, of stability and independence, and just you yourself changed. This can be where we were working, and this is interesting because it came up in the Leo message that I did just a couple days ago, and the King of Wands is a Leo card. So you might have a tie to a Leo in your life, or you might have a strong Leo placement, and if so, you might want to watch the Leo message as well, because the one thing that I can say is when we work towards a goal, and we want to achieve this certain level of financial abundance or physical or financial independence, we can often go almost all the way towards achieving that goal. Like we're so focused on getting that house or achieving that certain level of money in our career pursuit or career goals. And then we get there and it's not about just, that's it. Okay, well, I achieved my goal. I got that promotion or I moved into that house. Well, now there's nothing left for me to work towards. I'm just going to stay forever in this house as it is, or I'm going to never look to maybe seek a further promotion. I'm never going to look to be challenged and work again outside of this final achievement. And with Judgment coming in, this is saying that often what can happen is when we get to that point, when we achieve that goal we were long trying to get to, suddenly we realize we've changed. Now suddenly the attainment of this goal is no longer either what we currently want, or we realize that there's an expanded vision for ourselves. And that can send us to a place of reflection, which is what the Four of Swords is, where we are realizing, wait a second, what is my current truth now? And how is it masked by the pain of the past pursuits I've had to go through where maybe it didn't work out? I failed, or someone told me something that wounded me and I keep thinking about it. Because what I was telling Leo in their reading, they had a similar kind of message come through of, getting to that point where, yeah, you've achieved this beautiful level of success and abundance in the physical. But at a certain point, it might start to feel either like, this was great at one time, but it's not fulfilling anymore. Or it might be that suddenly you realize it's more of a burden for me to keep this going than it is for me to walk towards something new that is really exciting for me. And the Nine of Pentacles can be also the card of the comfort zone. This can be where we've created this we've locked ourselves in the beautiful garden that's beautiful, but there's a whole nother world outside that. It can become isolating, actually. Now, there's one more pentacle from the Nine of Pentacles to get to the Ten of Pentacles, which is our ultimate legacy fulfilled in the physical. And I think for many of you, there may be a level of consideration as to what that is. But I do, with how the King of Wands is kind of looking at this knight in repose who is meditating on his truth and the wounds of the past. I think for many of you, there's this feeling of wanting to pursue something more, wanting to step up into this level of leadership, maybe a level of, again, being seen as how can I say this? Again, being seen as someone who is very proficient in what they are passionate about. And there's something here that's going to come in, and there's going to be a shakeup. And it might be a shakeup actually in what you believe, which is interesting because the Hierophant does speak to our own beliefs. We might have believed something in my own life. I am a Taurus sun, so I can attest to this. My whole life, my experience has been one of proving myself and my perspectives wrong. So whatever I look back at, like my 20-year-old self and all the things I said I was, I didn't believe in or I was never going to support. And suddenly now I find myself at 40 after going through so many different life experiences, I find myself in a diametrically opposed to what I had believed when I was 20. In fact, to the point where, when I was 20, if you would have said, hey, you're going to be reading tarot cards for people for a living 20 years from now, I would have been like, excuse me, those people are crazy. That's a bunch of nonsense. Astrology is ridiculous. Numerology is fake. And I would have sat there and told you all the reasons why I don't believe that. And yet somehow I think for many of you, your beliefs are going to be challenged, and it's going to be a realization as to where actually you haven't been content with some aspect of your life because you've been kind of stuck in, well, this is my beliefs, this is what I have to follow, this is what it is. And it's like, well, you're someone new. And what's the truth of that individual who is new? It's almost like getting to that place of like, if you could be reborn and the past is gone, well, then who do you want to be from this point forward? With the security of the Tower gone and there's nothing left except to start to walk towards something new, well, what would that be for yourself? There's an element of liberation here. 10 of Wands is your main point of challenge. Yeah, it's the not wanting to put down the carrying of a very heavy burden. The 10 of Wands is where we have, we kind of want to do it all ourselves, or we feel that we have to do it all ourselves. And so we keep carrying this burden forward. Now, this doesn't always have to just be that, like, let's say in your day-to-day that you're a workaholic. So at work, you are like, sure, give me one more project. I can do it, or at home where you're like, sure, I can do it all. I can be the super parent. I can work. I can make dinner. I can pick the kids up. I can clean the house. This can also be where we carry the burden of something we feel maybe in society is wrong. Where we're like, well, we have to be the one to keep speaking out on this, or we have to be the one who proves to everyone that our way of life is the better way of life. And so we have to keep upholding that way or living in a specific way. And I think for many of you, when you're sitting here in this King of Wands energy of feeling like I want to just take action from what I'm passionate about, well, it's very hard to do that when you're carrying this very heavy burden. When you think about the King of Wands, yes, you can say that, the crown rests heavy on the head of someone who is ruling their kingdom. But at the same time, the king is not going to bear just any burden. And I'm going to say it in this way, and it might trigger some of you, a peasant's burden. The king is sitting from a place, and so is the Hierophant, which is the high priest. They're sitting in a place of perspective, of a higher perspective. They can see out over their land. They can see out over their kingdom. He can see out over even broader. The Hierophant is the high priest who can see kind of beyond on a spiritual level. And the 10 of Wands is an individual who is stuck in it. He's carrying this load. He has his eyes down, and he's kind of in the muck and the mire of just kind of grinding away. And it's hard when you're in the muck and the mire and the grinding away to get into that beautiful elevated position to see a broader perspective for yourself. So keep that in mind. This may be a week where it's really getting to that point where it's time to reflect on where you're carrying too much, and it's actually hindering you from being able to have a broader perspective of how you can live from a place of passion and actually how you can lead as well. You know, and when we think about the Hierophant, this can also be where you feel like you have to carry this burden because this is what your parents did. You know, your parents didn't have a housekeeper. Your parents didn't, have somebody come to take care of their lawn. Your parents worked every day and didn't take sick days, that kind of thing. And it's like, well, but, you're living your own life. And if you're burned out from working too much, or taking on those extra projects, or it's too much to be the super parent and live a life of passion or also work a job as well. There's something here where it's saying it's time to take a step back. It's time to do this kind of life review. Where you keep doing things to add to your burden from the stories of the past, the wounds of the past that haunt you? And where can you now take a look at how you've been reborn? What are the circumstances that have changed recently for you that truly make you a new individual? And this doesn't have to be where, oh my gosh, you went through a major divorce and you lost your job and you had to go through this dark night of the soul, and suddenly now, it's like this can literally be where something in your life changes your identity. You are a parent for the first time, and you were not a parent yesterday, but today with the birth of your child, today you are a parent. And now suddenly, maybe the structures you always followed are being challenged. Or maybe yesterday you are not an individual who was part of the workforce and you got a job, and today you are part of the workforce. It's one of those things where suddenly, it's like going into college and then graduating from college, or retiring from being in work. There's a point here where some aspect of who you identified with has changed. And it may mean that you're being called to step up. Yeah, so there's the 10 of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. Well, here we go. There's the opportunity to level up from a security, from a place of kind of clinging to a safety zone, a security zone. So with the 10 of Pentacles coming in and the Ace of Pentacles at the heart of your reading, this is what Spirit's asking you to embrace: a new opportunity, a gift in the physical. So for some of you, this could be like, let's say Judgment came in, and let's say it was becoming a parent. Well, that gift now is that you have this beautiful child. And that child may be something that leads to an expanded vision for what you want your life to be for that child. That's what gets you suddenly into the looking at what that 10 of Pentacles is. If I have to break through a comfort zone, well, why would I risk that? What am I wanting that is more than what I currently have? Ooh, and the Ace of Wands. Wow. Some of you, this could actually be giving birth to a child, which is interesting with the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is inspiration. It can also be conception, conceptualizing that new idea. It's also being connected to your inspiration. It's the wand that the king holds. So in this new start for yourself, in this new opportunity, there is an opportunity for a new connection to what you're passionate about and how you can share that. And it is going to challenge, I think, for many of you, a structure you've long held in place because, yep, there's the Tower. So here it is again. Something must come down. So, for instance, I'm going to share with you in my own life, this Tower moment. So for me, I am speaking from my own perspective when I say that with Judgment, yes, that is for me. I did become a parent a year and a half ago. And that was a big adjustment to literally from one day to the next, not be able to say I was, to the next day to say I'm a mom. But in doing so, I had to change my whole perspective. Before that point, I was always just about work. What is the work that I'm doing? And I was defined by that. I was defined by the job I had. I was defined by how much I worked. And I also realized that how much of what I chose to do on a day-to-day basis was geared around me making use of my own talents, which are, being a master prioritizer. I am a life path 11, but an expression number 4. So it's all about building and doing in the physical. I am a workhorse, to say. But I did a lot of that stuff. I took a lot on at work. I was the one who took on the extra projects. I took a lot on at home. And I was the one who just did because I wanted to get those kudos. I wanted to be recognized for what I could do. I wanted my boss to say, great job, you're better than everybody else. I wanted my partner, my romantic partner, to say, oh my gosh, it's amazing how you can keep the house spotless, that kind of thing. And I realized a pattern of, that was a security zone of every time I would get into a new job, I would take on more than my fair share. Every time I get into a relationship, I'd want to take on more than my fair share. And I realized becoming a parent, it changed my perspective on what I needed to do and what I didn't need to do. It also challenged my beliefs on, do I really have to take on everything? As a parent in my household, do I have to also work and be a parent? Can I be a stay-at-home parent? How does that challenge how I see myself and how I identify? And so, I did have to go through a tower moment where I had to release a lot of my clinging to my security, specifically to my physical financial security, to be able to allow the tower to come down for me to focus on my new opportunity, my Ace of Pentacles, my growing family. And that in turn has inspired me, and it actually allowed me to really dive deeper into my work with tarot, into my private practice, and into also doing other things that I absolutely love, but things that are tied directly to now my expanded vision for what I want for my future, which now includes a family. So keep that in mind, and I hope I didn't just prattle on about my story and you find it boring. But I do hope that shares a little bit of how sometimes, again, we can kind of cling to something that was so, especially directly tied to our ego of, I'm going to bear this burden, but I'm going to, especially because we're Taurus, Taurus, we are the bull. We can be hitched to a cart and we can just keep going and keep doing. And this is saying, but you don't have to. Yes, we can. But in order for us to really be the king, we have to be able to pull ourselves into that higher perspective. And for us to really embody also the Hierophant, we get to be the high priest. We get to see the new way forward. We get to be the one who creates the new structures. And so this is like really being aware that if you break down the old structure, you get to be the one to build it in the way that suits the new you, that gets to take all of these wands off your back, and you get to start with just one. Now, for the 10 of Wands, we have the 3 of Swords. There's the 3 of Swords coming through the wounds of the past, with the 6 of Swords moving on from the wounds of the past. It's time to release the why you carry this burden. And whatever that burden is, whether that burden is just literally all the stuff you take on in the day-to-day, or whether it's the burden of, I have to do this for the greater good of society. And then there's the 4 of Cups. And the 4 of Cups is coming in again to show why you haven't been satisfied for quite some time, why you haven't been allowing yourself to connect emotionally, because you've been too busy bearing the burden of all of these things going on in your experience. And it is directly tied to the why is because of what you don't want to experience again. Okay, so let's take a look at the 10 of Pentacles. Now, for some of you, this could literally just be a week where you realize, oh my gosh, I've just been taking on too much. And I have an opportunity for more, and I'm going to just ask for help. And that's that tower coming down to say, I just can't do it all anymore. I just can't. And maybe that's where the fresh inspiration comes in. Maybe you say this to your romantic partner. Maybe you say this to your boss. Maybe you say this to whoever. And they say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you felt that way. Let's figure out a new structure so that we can all be supported equally from this point forward. Because then we have the King of Cups, we have the 5 of Swords, And we have the Six of Wands. Very interesting here because I feel like this came up maybe in your, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but in your last reading. But the King of Cups is a scorpionic energy. So again, there could be a Scorpio in your experience that you've been kind of fighting against, kind of battling. When in reality, this individual wants to support you, the Six of Wands. The King of Cups can also represent either an individual who is very emotionally mature in your life, who again wants to come in, wants to help support you, also wants to work towards this 10 of Pentacles with the Six of Wands coming in, wants to support you, wants this to be successful. And instead, I think for many of you, you're pushing it away, you're fighting it. Now, this could also be where you want to, for those of you who, let's say, this could be a version of yourself, which is, again, a highly emotionally mature, attuned individual. And you may be not wanting to embody this. Maybe you're too much in your head, too much in the I can't do it. No, don't tell me what to do. No, I have to do everything myself. And this is saying, well, if you get to that place of really listening to your emotions from a place of maturity and being able to communicate that in a successful way, it will bring a level of success. The Six of Wands is success. That is being seen, that's being supported. That's all of your hard work being recognized. And I think for some of you, there needs to be either a communication, an openness to the King of Cups that wants to come in and support you and to work towards this 10 of Pentacles to be successful, or it's a part of yourself that it's time for you to embrace that will lead to a level of success in your experience. Okay, let's take a look at the Ace of Pentacles. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, Three of Pentacles. It's seeing where this ace can fit into a larger picture of what you would like to build anew. The Three of Pentacles has the eye to the future. It's also looking for others to build with. You bring your pentacle, two other people bring their pentacles. It's a beautiful partnership energy. It's also one of recognition where others might see the gift you have and recognize it and say, well, come over here. We have something we want you to be a part of. It's also a realization that we build it stronger together, and no one person has all the pieces to build the next tower, if that makes sense. When we think about building, there is an architect, there's somebody who draws up the blueprints and the plans. There's the person that comes in and puts up the structure, the initial structure. There are people who do the electrical, the people who do the plumbing, the people who put up the finishing touches, the person who comes in and decorates at the very end. And you build it faster and stronger together. Ace of Wands, justice coming in. I love it. This is where the scales are being rebalanced. There's the 10 of Wands again and the 5 of Wands. There has been chaos created by the burden you have carried alone, or the why you keep taking it on. It's making your life feel very chaotic. And the balance is that you can put this cycle to rest. Notice that these came up face down. It's almost like you don't want to see it. You don't want to see that if I try to keep doing all of this, I'm living in a place of chaos. It's exhausting for me, but it's also showing that there's a level of this that has created chaos for those around you. And it's saying it's time for you to release this. The balance is that you get a fresh connection to inspiration. And it's for all that you've kind of gone through up into this point of judgment. It's saying this is that point of, okay, here's a return on your investment. Here's the karmic scales being rebalanced. You came a long way. You did a lot. You went through a lot of chaotic times. And now you get the restart. You get the refresh. You get to just have your one wand again. Just that wand of inspiration. And it doesn't have to come with that heavy burden. This can also be where we're afraid to take on a new inspiration. Because what the 10 of Wands speaks to is that this is the closeout of a cycle where you did start with one wand, where you chose to act on a passion and you chose to take that way forward. And then you waited to see what came in, and then everything kind of started to go downhill after that. You celebrated your success and you're like, yay, it's all happening. This is wonderful. And then by the end of the cycle, you're like, oh my gosh, this wasn't what I wanted. It got heavy. And this is saying the karmic scales are being rebalanced. You did go through that cycle, and it was heavy. And it did start with a divine inspiration that you were excited about. But now you get to put down that burden and start a cycle anew. And this, with the justice coming in, says that this cycle will be different from the last, but it will only be different from, okay, we have the tower, clarifying the tower. Yeah, this is a major, major life-changing revelation coming through here. This is saying, let the walls come down, because this time, if you can release the pain of the past and you can truly transcend and move on, this is a whole nother ball game coming up here, Taurus. I love it. And I know the tower scares some people because it does mean change. It does mean having to let something, it does mean letting the walls come down. And the Fool. And there you are, leaping from the building, getting to start that beautiful new experience. I love it. I absolutely love it. You get to start that. The Fool is truly the number 0 in the tarot. It is us. So the journey of the major arcana is the journey of the Fool. And this is that 0 point field where the scales are balanced, the slate has been wiped clean, and you get to come forward as this beautiful child, leaping with full security and belief into the unknown and the new. And now that was definitely coming through in your last reading, having faith as you move into the unknown, but it does involve a major tower coming in. That tower is going to reveal to you, though, what has long not been satisfying in your experience, what has long been kind of what's the missing piece? The missing piece is you, but it's you discovering something within your cup that you have been unaware of because you've been carrying so much weight on your shoulders because you've been trying to do it all yourself. Okay, let's go ahead here and see. What does Taurus need to know? This can be a breakthrough week for many of you. A breakthrough week of really seeing the patterns of what has held you back, why you choose to take on more in whatever specific area it is. I know I know from personal experience, I've been facing this exact thing. But talking to a few of my friends, they too have been going through the same experiences. But it's that beautiful point of really getting a chance to see what are the wounds that just kind of keep forcing us to take on more and more, when in reality we're being presented with a fresh start. And that fresh start is highly creative, it's highly supportive, it's going to get us towards that 10 of Pentacles, get us out of our comfort zone and into the ultimate comfort zone, which is our legacy, what we want to achieve. Okay, let's see. Where's this final card, Taurus? What does Taurus need to know as a final point of awareness for the week ahead? Goodness gracious. I might just pull it if one doesn't want to come out. Usually it doesn't take this long. Okay, so we have 3 cards. So we'll look at each one of them. We have Surrender Fear. It says, let go of fearful stories you are telling yourself. Stay in the moment. Focus on solutions and celebrate every baby step forward. I love that. And I love the let go of the fearful stories you are telling yourself. You know, again, those fearful stories could be why you can't put down this burden. If I put down this burden, that's when the last person left me. If I put down this burden, they might fire me. If I put down, whatever it is. So surrender to the wisdom of your body. Listen to your body's messages about a person or situation. If you feel physically drained or uncomfortable, be cautious. If you are energized and happy, move forward. That's a beautiful reminder here, because wherever you feel heavy and stressed and frustrated and anxious, that's what needs to be released. Surrender your need to always be right. Give others the gift of letting them be right. Be yielding, not rigid. This will help resolve conflicts and improve your relationships. And that's really what's coming through here with this King of Cups with the 5 of Swords and the 6 of Wands. There's someone in your life whether it's romantic or whether it's just an individual in your experience that wants to come in and support you. And they may have a better idea. They may actually see too the burden you're carrying, and they've been trying to maybe help. And you might have been pushing them away. So this is allowing someone else to come in and say, hey, you don't have to take that all on your shoulders. Or, hey, maybe there's a better way. And that can really resolve conflicts very quickly when we just kind of open ourselves up instead of kind of having this combative energy. We just say, you know what can we do to be successful here? That's what the Six of Wands. What can we do to be successful? I have an eye to what I want to achieve. How can we achieve this together? And most of the time when you approach situations with that mentality, be it at work, be it at home, with family or friends, it's a much easier and more productive way to get more quickly to a solution than it is when we sit there and say, well, you don't know what I'm carrying, and no, you don't understand, and I don't even want to talk to you about this. Or even worse, just doing that on a mental level, not telling the person at all what you're suffering, and you just keep continually bearing the burden. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go ahead and see about surrendering fear. What does Taurus need to know about surrendering fear? Interesting. The Empress and the Three of Cups. Many of you may be worried about the sharing of a creative project. For some of you, again, the Empress does speak to giving birth. So for those of you that resonate with the actual physical having a child, this may be that you feel you're fearful that you don't have support needed to be able to successfully nurture this child. It could be that you might feel like even a friend group has turned their back on you, or that, again, whatever, if this doesn't pertain specifically to giving birth to something like a child, this could be, again, what you want to create. This could be you're creating an artistic something, you're creating a business, you're creating, whatever it is you want to create, and you might feel like you're afraid that people won't support you, or you don't have a support group to help you in doing so. And what I love with the surrender, you need to always be right, is the Four of Wands. That's a celebratory energy. That's one of celebrating. Four of Wands can speak to a marriage. So for some of you, this is saying celebrate, lean into the foundation, the four corners, pillars of your marriage, and allow that individual in your experience to support you. This can also be where if there's any type of foundation, because when we think about the tower coming down, the tower comes down but leaves the foundation intact so that you can build it back again if you want, but better, and with an eye to a guiding hope or dream for yourself. And there could be something here around also celebrating how far you've come, celebrating what you've achieved, and getting to that place of whether this is like a business or something else you've been trying to grow, really celebrate how far you've come from the Three of Swords. There's the Three of Swords again, the heartache. For many of you, if this is pertaining specifically to home life or relationship, there is something around the wounding coming through either from the relationship from a previous point, and it's coming through, it's kind of bubbling up again, and it's not allowing you to really enjoy the success of your marriage. Or it's something from a previous relationship that's kind of rearing its ugly head, and so you're like, no, I have to do it this way, or I have to hide this part, or I have to continue to bear the burden in some way, and this is a new relationship. Then this is saying you're a new person, this other person's a new person. It's time now to kind of, again, release those wounds of the past. Don't bring them into the current experience. Now, if this is around business, same thing. This would be like starting a new business and you're so fearful of expressing, maybe an idea that you would love to put out there, because in your last work environment, every time you did that, you got shot down, or you tried to do something in a new way and you were let go. Whatever that is, it's saying, well, don't sit here and don't start a new position with that level of kind of the fear of, well, I'm not going to share myself then. I'm not going to connect with anybody at my work. I'm not going to build a foundation and enjoy, how long it took for me to get this new position. This is saying enjoy it and leave whatever was part of the past in the past. And don't be afraid to what's what you have the ability to create, whether this is a child or whether it is just something in your experience that you are creating for yourself. It will be supported. You will find that support group. Use your body as that guide. What feels right, what doesn't feel right. We're earth signs, so we really are attuned to the physical side to our experience. So lean into that gift, Taurus. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderfully empowering and illuminating week ahead. Let those walls come down, put down the burden, and pick up the wand of inspiration and lean into those who are there to support you. Celebrate how far you've come and celebrate the person who you are today in this moment, the new version of yourself. All right, I will see you all again next week for the next illumination reading. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, next week I'll be doing love readings in honor of Valentine's Day and just in the general theme of love and heart-centeredness that seems to be coming through for the month of February. So I look forward to reading for you all there for your love readings as well. Bye, Taurus.